Worldviews. Does anyone know what a worldview is? An opinion? A bit more than an opinion. We use the word worldview to sort of mean like a subconsciously held frame or lens through which we look at the world, which ends up encompassing a whole set of beliefs, ideas, concepts like cosmology, our understandings about the nature of reality. So a worldview is really like sits beneath our conscious awareness most of the time. It's part of like our operating system. So just like on a computer, we're not usually very much interacting with the operating system directly. And forgive me, tech people, if I'm using this analogy totally inappropriately. But it sort of, sits at the back and helps everything else run. But we're not always directly aware of it. However, I wanted to just bring it up because that worldview in which we see nature as alive and something that we can interact with is quite a different worldview to one that many of us would have been born into. So often we see nature as insentient and something out there that's not for us to. We might act upon it and we might, use things from nature, but it's not seen as something that we can have this dynamic relationship with. So we're working with quite a different, worldview in this program, which does mean that like sometimes you'll find it clashing with your existing beliefs, values, way that things are just the nature of reality. Like that can't be possible. So it can be both great and opens up this whole other world of possibility to delve into this sort of idea and concept and experience on the program. But you might find that it can be kind of challenging, as well as like some of the like ramifications. Like you might be going along on these few days and thinking, oh, this is wonderful and great. And then later on, you go, oh my gosh, like this actually changes the way that I see things in normal life, and sometimes in ways that can be, challenging, because this is a much more like alive and magical, wondrous kind of view to take, which can seem a bit brutal to then go back to normal life. And keep getting told that, no, that's not possible. No, you couldn't have possibly experienced that. So that is the end of section 1. We can move on to section 2, which is all about building connection with nature. So we use the word connection quite a lot. But like I said before, it's not meant to be a one-dimensional thing. Like it's not a matter of are we disconnected or are we connected? And once we feel like we're connected, okay, great, that's it. There's always further and further and further for us to go. And by the same token, like we can never really be disconnected, much like the conversation about are we nature? Like we are a part of nature. And we're always in constant connection with everything. However, it's more about like, what's our awareness doing? So how fully are we aware of that reality in each moment? As well as that, I think, and we'll go into this more in the morning, the next point about connection I've got in your workbooks is about energetic connection. And so when we think about like, well, what's connection really like? And if everything's energy, it's just that sometimes it appears like matter, but really it's just a different form of energy filtered through our perceptions. And so we see things to be matter or solid or air or whatever, well, liquids, that's the other one. If we think of it from the perspective that everything's energy, being in connection from an energetic point of view, it's always about flow. So we can also think about connection from being how much am I in constant exchange of energy with the world around us. So if we have blockages in our energetic system, it means that we can't be exchanging this energy in each moment as freely as we otherwise would have. And so that's another way to think about connection is can we freely exchange our energy with the world around us? And of course, we are always exchanging energy to a certain extent, but we can definitely cultivate our energetic system so that that is enhanced and refined. And that very much becomes something that we need to be doing in order to communicate with nature. Because those like felt sensations that we get in our body, that's one pathway that we have for communication as of being of nature, like a plant, for example, sending out an energetic impulse and us receiving that and feeling it in our system. So that's a very practical reason why we need to be conscious of the need to build that connection first before we try to get too fancy with communication with nature. And then the third point around what is connection that I've got there is about how real and how alive is that connection in your daily life? Like, is it actually bringing something of significance to what you're doing? So are we using that connection as part of what we do every day? Or is it just something that is, a nice thing to be able to dip into every now and again? Or is it actually built into what we're doing? And that's one reason why we do this Partnering with Nature course, to try to find avenues to be able to bring that connection more meaningfully into our everyday life. Because you could easily call this, it is a spiritual practice. Like, this idea of connection is about entering more and more of a spiritual relationship with nature, but from a very embodied point of view. But it's not just like a spirituality where it's, we pray before bedtime. It's like an alive spirituality that becomes part of life all the time, in every moment. Yeah. So I've got there some core principles for building nature connection. So this comes from Way of Nature, the lineage that I run these nature quests in, and I find them very practical. Like, it's one reason why I love working in this lineage, because it gives people very practical frameworks that can inform how you understand all forms of connection, both with yourself and with outer nature as well. So the first two that are on that front page, presence and relaxation, they really go hand in hand. You can't really have one without the other, so you always start with these two kind of at the same time. So with presence, and we already started doing it with a little meditation, and when you went out to your solo site, it's really, presence is obviously about, are we living in the moment? Like, are we aware of the present moment? But again, like connection, it's not simply a matter of, are we connected or are we not? Or are we present or are we not? It's kind of like we can be present in a more and more refined kind of way. And that's where our senses really come into it. So we've practiced a little bit with opening our senses, but what you'll find as you spend more time in your solo spot is that your senses naturally begin to open. Like, you'll start hearing and picking up on sounds that you might not have heard before. You'll start noticing things visually. You'll become more aware of touch and difference in temperature. And that adds all this extra dimensionality to how present we can be to the current moment. To me, it sort of feels like, how much of our self are we able to bring into each moment? How much of our consciousness can really what's that word? Like infiltrate and be available to us for the present moment. And that where it becomes really magical. Like once our senses open, there's just so much more wonder and beauty and awe that we can experience as well. So what my teacher says about awareness, I've got the quote from the book I put in there for you, is to work on presence as a principle. Become aware of your distractions. If need be, even meditate single-mindedly on the flow of your inner and outer distractions. Be patient. Over time, as you meditate regularly, the flow of distraction should begin to slow, allowing presence-centered awareness to rise. Remain in that pure presence. Give more and more precise, clear attention to the now and here. Meditate on the exact instant of the present moment and the surroundings as you directly experience them. So the nice thing is it's also recognizing that distractions are part of the present moment. So often, especially if you're new to meditation or you're new to spending time out in nature, we could feel like we're being constantly distracted. But that is what's happening in the moment as well. So, but if we're trying to like fight our distractions and we're creating meaning out of the distractions, that's when we take ourselves out of the present and we start to have stories about, I shouldn't be distracted. How do I, get that person to stop making noise? But when we're just in awareness of it without starting to create stories around it is when it's just part of the present moment experience. So if you're in your solo time and you find yourself distracted, that's still fine. That's like it's what's either happening outside of you or it's also, distractions come from inside of us as well, our thoughts and emotions. All that's part of the present moment as well. So if you find yourself not being able to, focus fully on the tree or the leaf, then you don't need to struggle against the distractions and you can use what is distracting you as part of the practice to become more present. Yeah. And once that happens, you find it so much easier to relax because then you're not fighting anything. And as you relax, you then find those distractions just can disappear more easily. So, yeah, go with it. A lot of the practices that we do for developing presence are about using the senses. So that's what we're going to get into with the 9 experiential fields, is really about what are the 9 fields are like, what are the ways in which we experience reality, and by focusing on one at a time we can help develop and refine our sensitivity and open the senses to the present moment. Before we go into that, I'll just talk about relaxation. So much like presence and connection, might be noticing a theme. It's not are we relaxed or are we not, but it's a scale and there's dimensionality to it. So of course, relaxation is really important because if we're tense, then there's all these things that are trying to pull us away, all these inner thoughts that are trying to pull us away from the present moment. So we have to have those two things together. And likewise, the more present we are, the more relaxed we become. Like, we know that if people are multitasking, their bodies are experiencing a stress response. So it goes together. So what my teacher says about relaxation. Deeply relax and profoundly surrender. To begin, first locate where you still hold contractions and tensions in your body, emotions, and mind. Then learn to decontract and relax your body, your emotions, and your thoughts and mind. Let go of old ideas, judgments, emotions, structures, mental structures, your own expectations, your need for approval or acceptance, and your idea of progress. Over time, replace your old habitual patterns of automatic contraction to life with new helpful habits of meeting life with openness and letting go. Yeah. So relaxation is not just like, oh, I've got some downtime now and I can listen to some nice music or watch television or, whatever else we do to relax. But it also is like a stance towards life. Like, am I just accepting what's happening in each moment, and can I just relax into it without the need to pull away from it and get tense because of it or try to control it? And this is nice. It's the yin and yang. That's why these two also fit so nicely together. Because presence is like the yang, the will, like how we're using our attention, whereas relaxation is the feminine, the receptive. So you could almost call the principle of relaxation, it's about receptivity. Like, can we be open to each moment and be willing to let life guide us? So whether you're sitting up or lying down, just close your eyes. And bring yourself into your body, being present to your body by paying attention to your breathing. Noticing how the inhale inflates your belly, your rib cage, and your chest. Noticing contact points on the floor, so feeling yourself lying really heavy, just melting into the floor. So to begin the practice, we're going to scan from our head down to our toes, but I'll take you through each body part. So when we find a contraction, we're not trying to do anything, we're just going to be aware of it for the time being, and then we'll do a round where we'll go through and consciously release it. So bring your awareness to the top of your head and scan down through all the muscles of your scalp, around your eyes, your forehead, so make sure you're not frowning, just relax. Paying attention to any tension in the cheeks or around the mouth. See if you can notice any tension in the front of your neck or the back of your neck. Just being really curious as to what sensations you can pick up in your body. Taking your awareness to the top of your left shoulder, seeing if you can notice any tension there. Then down through the left upper arm, the front of the arm and the back of the arm, into your left forearm. Can you notice any tension there? Into your left hand. Can you feel those little muscles? Is anything being held onto there? Then take your awareness to the top of your right shoulder. Down into your upper right arm, the front of the arm, the back of the arm. Down to your right forearm. And then your right hand. Noticing any points of holding, contraction, tightness, any way that you experience tension. Then take your awareness to the top of your chest, scanning down through the front of our torsos, so down past the heart, seeing what sensations might sit in that area. The rib cage, and very importantly, the diaphragm, So are we holding anything that's constricting our breathing? And taking the awareness down into the belly, seeing if we can notice any tension held around our internal organs. And taking your awareness into your back. So starting with the upper back, all around the shoulder blades. Often we hold tension there. The middle of the back, down those long muscles of the spine. The lower back. And down into our hips and our glute muscles. Then taking our awareness into the top of the left leg. Noticing anything in the top of our left leg, the big quadriceps at the front, the hamstrings at the back. Then taking our awareness down into our lower left leg to the calf muscle and all the other muscles at the front of the lower left leg. And then down into the left foot. Then taking your awareness to the right leg, so beginning with the upper right leg, the front of the leg, the quadriceps, the back of the leg, the hamstring. Then down to the lower right leg. And finally down into the right foot. Now using your awareness to sense your whole body at once. Where are the main points that you can sense tension? Could be in the muscles, the organs, could just be in your energy field, could be in the mind. And then we're going to use our awareness and our intention to help release some of that tension. So begin by imagining a golden ball of light just above your head. And that ball of light is energy, beautiful, warming, opening, relaxing, smiling energy that we can use to move down through our body into any point where we sense a bit of tension, and it's just going to help us melt that energy away. So taking that golden smiling ball of energy down into the head and face and neck, anywhere where you found tension, just let that slowly trickle through, just like warm honey, working its way into anywhere where there's tightness and just letting it completely let go and soften. And directing that energy to move down to our left shoulder and arm, letting it trickle down through the left arm, finding those points of tension, gently releasing them. Moving that golden ball of energy all the way down to the left hand and letting any form of tension just flow out and down through the left arm and just let it release to the earth. Feeling your entire left arm totally relaxed. Bringing your awareness and that smiling golden energy to the top of your right arm. You're moving from your right shoulder all the way down. As it moves, it picks up any points of tension, opens and softens. Letting any energy you need to let go of just move out and down through your right arm. And finally, into your right hand, moving that smiling golden ball of energy all the way down to your right hand, feeling everything totally relaxed and open. Then moving your awareness and this smiling energy to the top of the front of your body, letting it slowly flow down through the chest, the heart, the rib cage. Just pausing anywhere where you feel the need for a little bit more attention. Down to the abdomen. Feeling that warm, smiling energy slowly working its way through all the organs. You might feel your breath start to deepen and soften even further. And then taking our awareness to the top of our back and directing that beautiful, warm, smiling energy down through the top of our back, feeling the muscles totally soften and open. Around the shoulder blades, the middle of the back, the lower back, and down into our hips, our big glute muscles, feeling everything totally soft and open. And taking our awareness to the top of the left leg, bringing that warm, smiling energy down through the left thigh, feeling those big muscles relax and open. Down past the left knee, into the lower left leg. And finally down to the left foot, letting all those little muscles of the feet totally relax and open and soften. And with everything relaxed, you feel this beautiful flow of energy through your entire left leg. Then bring your awareness to your right leg. So starting with the upper right leg, moving that warm, smiling energy down through your right thigh, down past your right knee, and into your lower right leg. Feeling any points of tension soften and relax and release. And then finally taking your awareness into your right foot and letting that relaxing energy make its way down into your right foot. Feeling it totally open, loosen. And a nice smooth flow of energy through your entire right leg. Now let your awareness encompass your whole body at once. Feeling it totally relaxed. If you notice any other points of tension, you can let those soften now. And notice how easily and effortlessly your breath can gently flow through your body. And then you can bring your awareness back to your breath, bringing yourself back into the room. You can open your eyes. So it's good to be aware of what relaxation actually feels like. Because you want to be thinking about, like, you know, if you're struggling with any of the practices or, you know, during your solo time, you can kind of think, well, am I actually relaxed or am I tense? And once you can start to notice that there's tension, then you can start to think, okay, so what is this tension? Where am I holding it? And then you can start to do something to release it. So that's good to do. So I want to bring in the 9 experiential fields now. So, like I said, the senses are really the doorway to connection. So by going through each one of these fields of experience, we can help refine our senses and refine our ability to be present. So we have like the 5 senses that we're used to most of the time. Sight, sound, touch, which incorporates pressure and temperature, as well as taste and smell. And then we have a few things that we may not be so used to thinking about. So there's interoception, or our internal sense. So just like in that practice, when we're paying attention to our internal organs, for example, we get a lot of information up from our internal organs. And our increasing our ability to sense internally is a massive help. So that also includes our ability to sense our own movement and our sense of balance. Those are all part of our internal senses as well. Then we have energy, so we can start to sense energy more. We also have the field of thoughts and the field of emotions, which can be quite difficult to kind of get your head around, because we're used to thinking of thoughts and emotions as just like us, rather than something that we can observe. But it's very useful to be able to observe rather than get caught up and identify with our thoughts and emotions.